Hey everyone, it's Lizzie and welcome back to my channel. Today is the first episode of Budget with a Friend and I'm so excited to share with you all this particular budget on how I would write everything up. So based on the information that I had received from one of my viewers, I have already filled in everything. Now, this viewer, she is a single mom of teenagers and she had recently separated from her husband and they have been struggling during this pandemic because of all of the unpredictability. She provided me with her income information along with all of her debts listed out. Now, these are the bills and the dates that they come out for her being a single mom. So I've written in, she has a American Express card, a Discover card, her phone and her car, mortgage, car insurance, a few other debt payments, and then she also gets paid twice a month. So on the 15th and the last day of the month is her paycheck. But she also receives child support every other Tuesday, and that child support amount is $213 every other Tuesday. So I've just made a note, child support on those days. So this is how I would write up on my calendar. I use this for my personal budget and I think it is helpful just having everything written out for the month. Using the paycheck budget, I wrote in each of her paydays for the month. And I've also completed the bill tracker. So I really like using a bill tracker in this format because you can visually see how much you should set aside for your bills. So these are all of her bills and also a couple of variable expenses. There's some that is not included in here that I've included in this paycheck budget, but she gave me what her total amount due is for the month. So I've written it in all on this side. And I also wrote in her paydays. I did not include the child support on here. And the reason is because we can't split up so much from that $213 that she received. However, I made a note here of what I would recommend her set aside for two categories from that child support payment that she gets. I think that it would be wise for her to put some money towards her groceries. And so she says that she budgets $400, but she did say that I might have to adjust a few things just because of her income dropping. And so I took advantage of recommending maybe let's budget out the $300. So since it's just her, right now it's her and her 16-year-old son, and sometimes her daughter comes to visit from college. So that is $100 per person in your household starting at $300. That's the Jordan Page recommendation and I follow that. And I think it works. You just really need to make a plan of what you're going to be purchasing. So I think, hey, let's just try dropping that grocery budget from $400 to $300 and see how it works. So breaking everything down by $75 each week, you get paid, if you see here on the calendar, you receive a pay on the 7th. So we're budgeting July. So on the 7th, you're getting a child support payment. The 15th, you're getting your actual paycheck. The following week, you're getting a child support payment. And then the last day, you're getting another paycheck. So if you budget out $75 for each week, this will cover you. And then you will have a pay amount to cover you for the next week. You just have to be frugal. And I know it's gonna be hard. Trust me, I know it is very hard, but there's ways that you can stretch your dollars and stretch your food. You just have to do a little bit of research and it is gonna take some time. So with this, I recommend maybe taking an amount, $75 for groceries from your child support income you receive. And you can also take a portion of that to help you cover for your mortgage payment. By doing that for your paychecks, you can contribute a little bit less towards your mortgage and it will allow you to apply that $75 for groceries. So I've broken down her bills based on her paydays. And the highlight is when she has to have that full amount completed by. So based on the information that she provided me, which was her bills, some of her spending, and her telling me that, you know what, we might have to adjust a couple of things on her budget. So she has some sinking funds goals, but right now her income is tight. So we have to figure out what is the four walls, what is a priority, what is the need for her. So this is how I would break down her paycheck number 1 on the 15th. Let me zoom it in so that you guys can see it a little bit better. All right, so her paycheck, she gets $1,200 each paycheck. So that's $2,400 each month. So based on that paycheck amount, I usually would say, you know what, let's try to do an 80-20 or a percentage. Right now, that is off the table. And you know what, budgeting is not a one formula fits everyone's situation, especially if you have debt. So we scrapped that, and she didn't mention that she gives. So because of that, I can't be one to include that. I do think it's important, but for this viewer, she didn't mention that she tithes. If you do, then you will take 10% of your income and apply that. And then that will affect you though with your spending, especially if you have a low income. So you might have to work on maybe increasing your income if you do utilize the percentage formula. But for this example and for this viewer, she didn't mention that to me, so I am not going to include that on this paycheck. But these are the expenses that she has. So based on the bill tracker, we are looking at the 15th. And so what I did, I wrote this up first and then I did her paycheck budget. So what you do is you just write out each of your paychecks. So as she told me, she has a payment of $115 for Discover that's due on the 7th. So I know that it has to be fully funded in her account. I'm assuming these get auto debited. That's how I would set up all of my bills. So we know that we have to split that up into 2 for her 2 paychecks for the month, and that equals $57.50. So we just split that up for each of these. Now for the internet, I put the full amount for the 15th because I'm assuming she may not use this system, so she would need to cover that entire bill on this payday, on the 15th. But then going forward, I recommend splitting up your bills by half so that it lessens the blow of, what you have to spend. So what we do is we just go through each of these categories and we'll write it in on this expense portion. And as I do that, you just go ahead and you just place a check that you have included that on your paycheck budget. So all of those are in here. And then what we do is we add up this section. It gives us a total expense of $1,084.29. These are for all of those fixed expenses, leaving us a remaining balance of $115.71. So she still has to buy food. So we have grocery, and she also has to fill her gas tank. So we have that gas. So that gives us, you're at zero right now. You have given every single one of your dollars a job. But let's look at how we would budget out the last paycheck of the month. So she receives the same income for this paycheck, $1,200. So we wrote that up in here. We've canceled out this percentage formula because it won't apply for her and her goals. But we have these paychecks or these bills that are due. So looking at the 31st, we've written in what bills we are going to be setting aside for. So we have the American Express, a Discover, your car payments, and then all of these going down. So I've already written them in here. So as you do that, again, you just make a little check mark that you have included that on your paycheck budget. So now with these totals, your expenses are $1,056, and that leaves you with $144 left over to budget out for your other variable spending, which for her cash envelopes, she says that she has food, gas, her pets, her son envelope, eating out, spending, and then she wants 2 sinking funds, a car and HOA. Now, with those items that she wants to save for, it's very difficult to do that again with this paycheck. But we've still broken down the needs. So she has a dog. We have to, feed our dog, and so we've budgeted out $15 for that based on what she told me. Gas, same thing, and groceries, same thing, $75 each week. And that leaves us with a leftover amount of $14. I just put it for an extra pay for debt, but this is pretty much, if you want to apply it towards debt, if you want to apply that towards maybe one of your sinking funds, then you can do that. So in just a moment, my husband and I are gonna share our thoughts on something that we would do if we were in a similar situation. So if you as a viewer have debt, if you have bills similar to this, you have a mortgage, you have a car, you have different credit cards or other lines of credits, we have a recommendation that I think will be helpful, and it's actually some things that we did on our debt-free journey. So we are going to give our suggestions if this was our financial situation. What would we do to achieve the goal of pursuing debt freedom, having more freedom in savings? So if we were making less income because of the pandemic, like this viewer is, my suggestion is, where can you cut back? So just looking at the phone payment and some of the credit card payments that are being made, you might want to, I don't know the full detail of your phone plan. The $195, is that just one phone or is that a family plan? Maybe see about looking up other phone providers and see if you can get a less payment. Probably doing a consolidation. Now, this is something that Dave Ramsey doesn't recommend, but we did it. We merged everything under one card, what we could. So the Discover payment is $115 each month. That's probably with interest. So maybe see if you can consolidate a couple of those credit cards into one credit card, earning 0% in interest.
Just do one payment.
It depends on what your credit is, of what you can be approved for. So that's what I suggested, but my husband had other thoughts, and I think it's a good idea. And it's actually something that we did on our debt-free journey.
This person, they have a $430 car payment. That's a lot of money. And they owe about a little over $7,500 on it. And I'm 100% sure that the car probably doesn't even cost that much. I don't know what car it is or anything, but cars lose their value. So this car is not worth what they've paid already, or probably what they owe on it. I would find out how much the car is worth and see how much you could sell it for and sell the car. I would get rid of the car because they have a emergency fund with $5,000 on it in it. So I would definitely get rid of the car to get rid of that $430 payment, and then just buy like a $4,000 car, and you'll still have your $1,000 in your emergency fund. So that's the main thing I saw is you have savings, so you have money to buy a car cash, and you have a $430 payment. If you do that, you're gonna gain $430 a month.
Yeah.
And that's gonna completely change your whole financial situation. Just think, anybody that's seeing this video right now, if you can gain $430 a month, just think about what that can do. So that's exactly what that can do for this person, is if you get rid of that car, gain that money, and then with your savings, buy a car cash, and then just, work your way up. And then having that extra money, you could snowball your debt snowball. This can be taken care of pretty easy. You don't have a lot of debt. There's not a lot of debt. You have a pretty decent emergency fund. Yeah. You have saved up $5,000. Most people can't do that. So definitely, I would get rid of the car and buy a car cash.
It all depends upon your personal situation. Obviously, we're just reading what was submitted to us. We don't know you personally, but just based on what is on black and white ink right here, what we see, this is what we suggest that can better your situation and free up some more of your finances. So we hope that, sharing these Budget with a Friend video, this is the first one, that you got something out of it, and maybe it hit, how do you say?
Hit home.
It hit home and a light bulb clicked, and you could maybe adjust a few things in your personal finances. And that's what our hope is on making these videos, that we can just motivate you. But I hope that this episode inspired you to achieve all of your financial goals. You submit your information on the link Budget with a Friend to hear our advice. If we were in your situation, based on what you sent us, how would we handle and manage the finances to achieve the financial goals that you had written? So our hope is that this inspires you to get on a written budget and achieve all of your financial goals. And we'll see you on a next episode of Budget with a Friend. Bye, guys.